This is Radio TV Phono Nut, and what you see before you is the cheapest of the cheap kiddie record player. You'll be surprised when I tell you how old this thing actually is. It's from 1974. The motor is actually date coded in late 73, but so we'll say it's 74. And what's unusual about this is the means of amplification for a record player this new. It has a standard 4-speed General Industries drive mechanism like you see in many other kiddie record players, but it uses the old style acoustical amplification system like what you'd see on a 100-year-old Victrola. The only difference is the tone arm and reproducer on this is made out of plastic, and well, it's a lot worse quality than a Victrola, and it'll sound a lot worse. And according to this sticker, it's supposed to use a sapphire needle. It probably, as new as this is, it probably had either a 1 mil needle or a 2 mil all-speed needle. Well, unfortunately, the needle was gone, so I just dug something out of an old 78 RPM record player just to see what it does. Now, even with the correct needle, this is not something that I would play any record on that I even remotely wanted to keep. As you might expect, this thing is not stereo compatible. That's just totally out of the question. In fact, I really can't imagine it playing even a mono micro groove vinyl or styrene record without it causing serious damage on the first play. But we'll have a little fun with it. We'll try it first with a 78. So we'll flip our selector to 78, turn it on, or not. Maybe this, there we go. Outlet wasn't making good contact. Here's an old 78, probably from the teens or 20s. Let's see what it does. Obviously, the drive mechanism needs a little cleaning and lubrication. It doesn't sound as bad as I figured it would. Here's a 45. Now, don't worry, this is nothing worth anything. It's actually cracked. I just popped the crack back together enough to see if it'll play, and I really doubt it will, but let's see. Yeah, I think we need to clean the mechanism first. This pickup arm is so heavy, it's loading the mechanism down. And as you can tell, I'm just barely touching the platter and it's stopping it, so the drive wheel doesn't have much grip. Alright, we'll do to this what I've done to every other record player that you've seen me work on like this. We'll clean the rubber drive wheel with our rubber renew, and we'll clean everything else with the specially designed non-vaginal phonograph lubricants, as in the Phono Lube and the Zoom spout oil for the motor. And by the way, this was held together with these goofball types of safety screws here. It looks like what Fisher-Price used. Fortunately, they were not recessed down into the cabinet with a pair of wire cutters and then a pair of pliers. I was able to get the screws out with a lot of patience and some cussing here and there, but we got them out. Here's the underside, not much to it at all. Obviously, the advantage to this cheap record player is no amplifier to rebuild and no dead cartridge to worry about. The motor is just a standard General Industries motor, although this is the cheaper, lower-end drive mechanism with no rubber isolation grommets for the motor. The motor is bolted directly to the rest of the mechanism, and that's why it's noisier than the better models with the isolated motor. And all we have is just our AC power going into a switch and connected to the motor, and that's it. Okay, we've cleaned and lubricated everything, and it's got plenty of torque now. Let's get our 45 and see what happens. Is it going to work, or is it going to bog it down?
United States, Kennedy, Nixon, McCarthy, und Rockefeller, Snoopy, Humphrey.
Yeah, I really hate that record was cracked. It's generally the way it works when you get a box of 45s and there's one in there that you don't have that you'd like to have. That's the one that's going to be busted. I don't know if it'll show up very well on the camera, but you can see where the needle is plowing through the grooves of that record, and that's a vinyl record. If I played a styrene record on here, you could about hang it up. Now, might do a little better if it had the proper needle in here for micro groove, and if it was a known good needle, but I don't think it would be that much better. Yeah, you can see what it's doing to that styrene record. And don't worry, that copy's already trashed anyway, so we're not really hurting anything here. Okay, here's a 78. And frankly, something like that's probably about the only thing that's really suitable for this machine, because those types of records were played on something very similar whenever they were new. Thought we'd check the tracking pressure of this wonderful audiophile grade record player. And yes, you're reading it right there. My scale is reading 55.6 grams. That should make most audiophiles cringe, that's for sure. You know, I can understand something like this being made in the 78 era, but by the time microgroove records come along, I don't know why they continued to make instruments like this. Like I said, this is from 1974. Stereo microgroove records were well in existence by that time, and I don't imagine it costs that much more to build a cheap electronically amplified record player with a lighter tone arm on it. But you know how it is. Anytime these companies can save a dollar or two, they're going to do it. I remember seeing some of these in the Sears Roebuck catalogs in the 60s, and I don't remember what the price difference was between this type of model and the cheapest model with an electronic amplifier, but it wasn't much, you know, maybe $2 or $3 maybe. So, yeah, but whatever, you can draw your own conclusion as far as why these types of record players stayed around as long as they did. Some of you might remember a Sears Silvertone record player that's similar to this that I made a video of a few months or maybe a year or two ago. You know, who keeps track of time? But it's 78 RPM only. And I've seen some newer players than that one that were 78 and 45, no 33 and 16. In all honesty, this is one of the few acoustically amplified models that I've seen that actually had a 4-speed drive mechanism on it. But as we wind this video up, we'll play one of the little Peter Pan kiddie records, like what was originally played and destroyed on it whenever it was new. Okay, enough of that. Alright, thanks for watching, and maybe we'll get back to something with some capacitors and tubes and transistors in it next time. And I just broke the needle off. This really needs one of these straight needles where the reproducer will go into the little cup here. The bent needle that was on here wouldn't allow that, and whenever I tried to close the lid, it just bent the needle and broke it off, and that was that. But who cares? I'll get the proper needle for it sometime, so I can at least have something in here. Alright, more to come later.